So, in the last part of the lecture, I would like to talk about an expansionary monetary policy in the ISLM model. The black scenario is the initial equilibrium. Interest rate is at the level of 10, income at the level of 2000. When the central bank increases money supply by 500 units, then the LM curve shifts to the right. We can directly see the new equilibrium at the interest rate level of 7.5 and the GDP level of 2,250. So income increased by 250 units, while the interest rate decreased by 2.5 units. Also here, I would like to explain how do we get from one equilibrium to the other equilibrium. What is the dynamic adjustment process? We start with the shock on the money market. The central bank increases money supply, and this does not lead to higher consumption in the first place. The private household find money in front of the house, and what they do is they are not going shopping. They are not going shopping because consumption depends on an autonomous component and on disposable income. Consumption does not depend on money. And therefore, in the ISLM world, the consumers are not going shopping. Money supply is larger than money demand. The households are increasing the demand for bonds. They want to get rid of this additional money. Bond demand increases. Bond demand is larger than bond supply, and the bond prices increase. When the bond prices increase, this has an effect on the interest rate. Interest rate decreases, and money demand increases. Then we have a spillover effect from the money market to the goods market. The decrease in the interest rate leads to larger investment. Investment increases, which leads to a larger demand for goods. Demand is larger than supply at the good market. The companies produce more. They are adjusting output, and the income generated in the production process will increase consumption, so that we have a second effect on GDP. The multiplier effect kicks in. Then we have to think about the spillover effect from the money market to the goods market. When GDP increases, it affects money demand. Money demand increases. And now we can stop to analyze this shock, because we are able to explain how this shock is digested. An increase in money supply affects money demand because of the fact that the opportunity cost of holding money decrease, and it affects also the money demand because of the fact that the GDP is up. We are also able to explain how the endogenous variables reacted. We are able to explain why the interest rate is down and why GDP is up. So this is the dynamic adjustment process, the transmission process. In the following, I would also like to compute here the income multiplier of a monetary policy. Here we have to think about what kind of variable changes. It is only the case that money supply increases. So the only change occurs here in money supply. Case that we want to compute the income multiplier, income is located on the first position, so we have to insert the information from the solution vector into the first column. Let's compute the determinant in the numerator. 0 times minus d2 minus 1 over p dm minus 1 over p dm times b2. And then you are already familiar with the numerator. So the term with the 0 will drop out. We are left with this part, and we put once more minus d2 in front. We have a negative sign there, a negative sign there, a negative sign there. It will lead to a positive sign here. Then we also put dm on the other hand side of the equation. dm on the other hand side. we arrive at equation number 90. And now I would like to multiply the right-hand side of the equation by 1 over b2, 1 over b2, so that this b2 cancels out. Also, this b2 cancels out, and we get this expression here, d2 over b2 in the denominator. The whole expression is positive because of the fact that this term here in these brackets, this is positive, and else there is no negative sign anymore, so the whole expression is positive. This has to be interpreted in the following way. In case that the central bank increases money supply, then the GDP will increase. There is a positive relationship between these two macroeconomic variables. By how much does GDP increase? Let's plug in the parameters we have. We get the information that dy over dm is equal to 0.5. So when the central bank increases money supply by 1 unit, GDP will be up by 0.5 units. And in our example, money supply increased by 500 units, so that GDP is up by 250 units. In the last part, I would like to talk about the interest rate multiplier. So the change in the interest rate is located on the second position. So we have to use the information from the solution vector and insert this information into the second column. Let's multiply through 1 minus C1 minus B1 times 1 over P dm minus D1 times 0, and the expression in the numerator. The term with the 0 drops out. We put minus D2 in front. This term here. And now we can put dm on the other hand side of the equation, and we were able to derive this relationship here. It's a case that the whole expression is negative because we have a negative sign here in front of this fraction. So the whole relationship is smaller than 0, negative. So when the central bank increases money supply, the interest rate decreases. By how much? Let's plug in the parameters. di over dm is equal to minus 0.005. So when the central bank increases money supply by 1 unit, the interest rate decreases by this amount. But in our graphical example, it is the case that the central bank increased money supply by 500 units, and therefore the interest rate decreases by 2.5 units. This is really the end of chapter 5. Thank you very much that you watched this videos until the very end. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.